Chapter 4 Silver Lips. But destiny will be accomplished, and the best man will hold his ground, while the undeserving one will vanish into his back alley forever, his filthy back alley, his beloved back alley, where he is at home and where he will sink in filth and stench, at his own free will with enjoyment. Fyodor Dostoevsky. The lie is always tawdry when it's discovered the liar is naked. A lie by omission is a sickness, a burrowing worm, a poison to the soul. It functions in darkness, expands darkness in its long shadow. Lies infect the fictions we live by, economic, social, institutional, familial, functioning along, making the system work in its crippled way. Tolerable until something truer comes along. The lie is a primeval limitation, usually cruel, obfuscating, brute. As lies cycle back on themselves, they compound and become the bars of our prisons, the cages of the soul, the maze without exit, a separate reality. A lie will flutter around in the darkness in your head like that for years, until the dawn illuminates the wide blue sky and its insignificance is shown. A lie by omission is killed by being spoken. Still, there may be larvae hidden in your back alley. Years after those days on the celestial anvil, sleeping out under a rainforest canopy in Guatemala, I saw something fluttering around that I thought was a bat. In the morning, a drunk with a machete-scarred face and an evil eye told me the black witch moth laid its eggs in me, and that in time the moth of death would grow and fly from my heart, big as my hand, to lay its poisons in someone else's heart. I figured he was just trying to get my mojo, but I didn't forget what he said. Months later, I was working, shirt off, on a hot roof in the North Woods. I found that fucking larva growing in my chest. I cut it out with a utility knife and stamped it on the blindingly white boards. Bang. That is how to deal with the black witch moth. I didn't know that back in the city of chemicals and steel. I suspected it, but I didn't have the right knife. On the other hand, there was Nina's merciful soft cure by silver lipstick, while time was embryonic and I walked the fluorescent halls, sleeping the gringo sleep, trying to kiss my way out. The shell on the snow could only hold you every other step. Moon burning through a frozen haze, glistening on the crust the texture of ostrich skin, white in the moonlight. Black trees, sharp black shadows on the knobbly crust, 10,000 moon clocks pointing at the peculiar hour. In the yellow light within the schoolrooms, Kurt buffed the floors, as he did every night, all night, never speaking to anyone. His role in the war always uncertain, though we all knew he'd been on the wrong side. I had my grandmother's old gray Chrysler out on the school grounds racecourse, driving it like a maniac on ice. I saw my mom jump and pull the dog out of the lights. In the kitchen, she asked why I tried to run her down. It wasn't close. I was driving so fast, I'd hardly seen her jumping to the side up ahead. But I wasn't thinking about her. I was thinking about other stuff. My dad was gone, like he'd been the year before when the prince appeared. I banged the headboard on the wall in the gabled guest room where my mom had placed me with the prince. I made a noise she couldn't mistake, but it hadn't made a difference. The next night, the prince had me set up my little blue tent in the yard, and this corrupted it. I begged Nina to come and have sex with me in the little blue tent to purify it. She said, then I'd be the original slut. It was a hard sell, a bridge too far, the idea of losing her virginity in the headmaster's backyard. Nina pronounced her name Nina, like vagina, though I don't think she realized it. Wide Hungarian cheekbones and teased-up, sand-colored hair. Many shades of iridescent blue around the eyes, a sharp tartar nose, and prominent chin on a firm jaw and very silver lips, softer than you'd think by her hard face. She was forgetting her father, locking her in the basement and walking on her with golf shoes. I was forgetting the prince and all the secret things that disjointed me. It was a lot to hope for from magical silver kisses. 10,000, 100,000 silver kisses, away in the art storeroom, smelling of the abysses of turpentine and acrid acrylics. Lost at sea without knowing if there was any land anywhere, just treading water. We were going into each other totally blind, fumbling beneath our facades, not knowing what we were doing. Survival of the unfit, the blind, and the ignorant. In the night, with the phone cord stretched into some dark corner, I'd tell her of the cabin in Alaska, the husky, the Winchester, and the double-headed axe, while she'd apply glue to her fingers, blow it dry, and then peel it off erotically, each eking out some scrap of escapism in our way, sawing a little each night with smuggled and dull hacksaw blades on the tungsten bars of the gilded cage of bourgeois soul death, a death foretold in the faces of the other kids at school, all looking for a snug berth at the country club or on the selling floor, and other moribund places we had only small hope of escaping. Walking down the driveway to school, carrying my heavy book bag I never opened, I'd see every other day or so one of the smart and sensitive boys Mr. Rose had over for the night. I tracked them through the day, watching them slowly burning bridges, cutting and running while standing still. I knew it, identified it. I told my mom about it, and she didn't like it either. Even though I didn't have absolute red-handed proof, I made fun of Mr. Rose, using ultra-vague insinuations, and he'd grown to hate me. I'd seen him from my hall window, ushering in tentative boys, who'd leave in the morning with the larva of the black witch moth implanted in their pitiful wounds. I knew this lived in the unspeakable realm, but still I wanted it to come out. I sensed freedom in the truth that I also feared. Years before, my dad had encouraged me to get to know Mr. Rose and his vicious little owl, Archimedes. But one look at those leering, bulging eyes, with all the talk about going camping, let me know he was a carrier of the black witch moth's venomous seed. I already tasted those poisoned spores, and now I was madly trying to kiss it away with Nina's silver lips. The snows drifted and blew along the ice crust like sand on the beach. We all watched it from behind large windows as the heat pressurized the place with steam hissing. February plodded on, never-ending, a permanent condition. We all knew everything frozen would be there forever, the yellow snow, the random footholes in the snow's crust. The art teacher wanted to create an event to save us all from endless winter, so she had the maintenance men hang up panels of particle board by wires from the ceiling in the auditorium, edge them with wood strips on the back and paint them white. This blocked off half the auditorium and thankfully closed the study hall, run by an assistant coach, Terry. Rather than study, I'd made fun of Terry's piggy face and made jokes about his buddy, Mr. Rose, and the sycophantic 7th grade science students. Terry caught me by the collar unawares and jerked me backward, my feet hooked in my chair, flipping it up on the desk. He dragged me along the floor, out the fire escape, threw me in the snow and kicked me once in the stomach, puckering his lips viciously under his pig's nose. He said as I gasped, "There now, stop your laughing." But now the whole auditorium, the art classroom, and the beloved storeroom were all in the control of the laissez-faire art teacher, who acted more like a student. Terry's putrescence was nowhere to be smelt. Students would duck under the panels, and the backside became a sporadic party area for ne'er-do-wells, class skippers, and bad students. The emergency exit became the winter smoking area. The art teacher was 22 and thought Nina and I made a cute couple. She never said a word about us disappearing into the storeroom, skipping classes for hours of kissing. It seemed somehow like a Vietnam protest. As the snow flew, Nina spent weeks in art class writing my name in swirly calligraphy and dried the black ink with her iridescent makeup powder. A chronic class skipper like me, she did calligraphy in the off hours when she wasn't busy kissing me in the vapors of turpentine. Nina's calligraphy was on the partitions on the bright public side, with the windows facing south, along with a painting of a peace sign, some landscapes, a gnarly pen and ink inner world scene, some fruit in a bowl, and a portrait of Boots. The art teacher asked me to do something for the show. I'd spent as much time as anyone in the art room, but it was almost all in the storeroom, and she was disappointed when I told her I'd done nothing. I liked her, but still, I didn't intend to do anything. After a long session of kissing in the storeroom, we went out its back door into the dark side of the auditorium. The place was empty and quiet. One tall window looked out on a long, slightly downward slope, ending in the overgrown pond covered in snow, beside the willow tree where we all smoked cigarettes in better weather. The artless, unpainted side of the panels looked blanker than the field of snow. In the same way kids kick over the white perfection of a snowdrift, I took supplies from the storeroom and painted a series of sad pedo-erotic stick figures on the blank surface. I wrote, "Rose and his merry band of mows," sad for the hurt to the innocent kids who were unidentified. I went on with nasty rhymes and illustrations on the unspoken underworld of my dad's school. I painted on, and others joined in too, until the entire dark side was filled with complaint, truth-telling, jeers, non-sequiturs, but mostly Mr. Rose's regressed and twisted self, so vulgarized and depraved. By attacking from safety, without having to confess, by speaking the unspeakable, I was beginning to learn the power of truth, made into forbidden fruit, by the obfuscating silent cryptology of the man. The party back there took on a hysterical, revolutionary quality. The blank areas filled with crude colored poster paint, depicting coarse, clumsy, crass, and lewd things, each one an insult to taste and propriety. I was on a high. An English teacher from England had a line I liked, and I often repeated it, faking his accent. "The problem with you, Tom, is you're basically self-destructive." The next day he came and found me to prove his diagnosis correct. He led me to the auditorium and dropped me off like a bomb and left. I ducked behind the hanging partition, and there was my dad, with a quizzical look, somewhere between amused embarrassment and immodesty. Next to him was a very unhappy-looking art teacher, wringing her hands, looking like all hell had broken loose. Beside her was a very red-faced Mr. Rose, his heart gross with fat, looking so hard at me I thought his eyes were going to pop out of his sweating head. A few of the other kids were brought in, but it was clear I was the ringleader. Mr. Rose couldn't speak right. There were no words for his level of exasperation. The art teacher lied and said she didn't know how it happened. I said that was very true, even though she'd poked her head in a couple times, and laughed once. My dad said a few smoothing banalities I don't recall, but it was clear to everyone that my time was up. On my way to lunch, Pig-Nosed Terry, wingman to Mr. Rose, stopped me with a disgusted face beneath the window to my dad's office, pushed me in the snow and kicked me 6 or 7 good ones in the gut, using his prodigious thighs, exhaling snot from his nose on me with all his frustration. I looked up into my dad's open Venetian blinds, but the room was dark. The next day, the school nurse declared me sick, and thus, in the 9th grade, my time in the academy ended. 1 inch closer to liberty, but still stuck under the gray sky anvil in an industrial wasteland with a herd of pissed-off football fans, in a land where people pushed cars stuck in snowbanks like they were humping them, with the tires buzzing. Zzz, zzz, zzz. That's how pissed off they were.